Well, Sherilyn Ifill is the president and director counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund and joins me now from New York to talk about the broader impact of voting rights restrictions in local contests. Sherilyn, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We've heard a lot in the ensuing months about Texas and North Carolina and some of the state restrictions, but as you and I have been discussing off camera, there is a local impact of some of these voting rights cases and what the Supreme Court did. Let's talk about the map and some of the restrictions that have been passed.
Well, you know, Andrea, I think it all can be summed up with the words of the Florida Secretary of State, who said just a few days after the decision, "We're free and clear now." And all over the South, we're seeing in small towns and jurisdictions voter suppression efforts focused at small local elections. In the city of Pasadena, Texas, the plan is to eliminate the 2 majority Latino council districts. The city of Beaumont, Texas, the plan is afoot to eliminate the majority black school board. Galveston, Texas, has decided to eliminate half of the seats for constables and justices of the peace. And Andrea, this one strikes really home for me because I actually litigated the case 20 years ago that created those majority black constable and justice of the peace seats and allowed black voters to elect candidates of their choice to those positions for the first time. So we're really seeing precisely what Congressman Lewis talked about, an effort to basically turn back the clock.
And of course, at the time, what the court decided upon and what people supporting the court decision said was that the South has changed and it's a new South and we don't have to worry about these things. Let's talk about Georgia, for instance, and some of the cases in Georgia, because the NAACP and the Legal Defense Fund now are spanning all of these states, trying to fight and put out fires in all of these different local jurisdictions.
You cannot imagine what it's been like for community activists and for voting rights attorneys. My team at the Legal Defense Fund has been in the South essentially all summer trying to stave off some of this. In Georgia, there have been multiple efforts in counties to eliminate polling places. Baker County in southern Georgia proposed eliminating 4 of their 5 polling places. Morgan County eliminated 1/3 of its polling places. And finally, the city of Athens decided to eliminate almost all of their 24 polling places, save for 2. And those 2 polling places they decided would be placed within police stations. It was only the community really rising up and lawyers coming down and resisting these efforts that have allowed some of these plans to be pushed back. But if you can multiply these towns that I'm describing and these counties that I'm describing, and you can multiply them times the hundreds, you can imagine the kind of level of voter suppression and disenfranchisement that's happening under the radar. Everybody knows about the omnibus voter suppression bill passed in North Carolina. Everybody knows about the Texas voter ID law, and those are important. But what people don't know about are all of these micro suppression efforts that are happening in towns, counties, and cities all over the South.
Do you see a legislative remedy?
We're hopeful. We're very hopeful. The good news is that, you know, we really believe there's bipartisan support for amending the Voting Rights Act to try and deal with some of these issues. Ongoing discussions have been happening almost since the Supreme Court's decision. We've been very heartened by the public stance of Congressman Sensenbrenner, and we're hoping that his colleagues, several Republican colleagues, will stand with him along with Democratic leadership. The Voting Rights Act has always been bipartisan, and we really believe that that legacy is really important to continue. What we see happening in our country right now, this is not the America any of us should want. This is about the preservation of our democracy and preserving the core identification of citizenship, which is the ability to vote and participate in the political process. And when we see this happening in these towns and counties all over the South, this is really anti-American. And our expectation is that a majority of our United States Congress, as they have in the past overwhelmingly, will stand against this kind of practice.